Anyway, Steve, before we start, I can't help but find that something is missing.
Yeah.
Normally around about here.
Yeah. A wee short ass.
Where is he?
So, welcome to the Inside and Property Finance podcast with me, Steve Hand, and my business partner, one of them, Paul Rawson. The other one is on his way, I promise you. So today we're going to talk about 100% funding, aren't we, Paul?
Yeah, it's just the fact that we've got more and more lenders doing the whole thing themselves coming to the market. I thought it would be a good one to pick up on because, you know, there was always only maybe one or two. Now we're seeing 3 or 4 where they'll actually do JVs as lenders, and give people the whole shebang. And I've just had a few people say to me, is it a good idea? So I thought, well, next time I'm up here and we're doing a podcast, why not get you to answer, you know, as a guy who looks at B&D more than anybody else, is it better to get all the money from one source, from a borrower? And, you know, the pros and the cons surrounding it. So
yeah,
if
definitely.
you could just talk us through the main points, that'd be great, I think.
Great topic to bring up. It's something that comes on my radar regularly. What I tend to find, if there's a correlation, is that the more experienced developers that have got projects behind them that have a track record tend to go for the option of typically 60 to 75% loan to GDV from a senior debt lender, and then the gap, the equity gap, is filled in by a small part themselves, the rest by private investors.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a place for the 100% all in one project, if you like, all in one finance proposition. Because there's plenty of people out there where they've got the experience historically, but it might be in their corporate lives, and then they're setting up their own limited company, and they've not got the track record as principal developers. They might have a little bit of funding, but not enough, and they might not have built up, again, a track record of investors willing to invest in them.
So what you're picking up on there is people just think it's a way of solving, I've not got the money to put into it, but actually it resolves this, I haven't got principal experience, as we call it in the industry.
Yeah.
It gets them over that hurdle as well.
Yeah, it does. And some of the biggest pillars that we come across that stops developments going forward are the principal experience, having the track record that is in their own limited company, having the funding behind them, either through their own sources or through investors, and having a strong PG. So that's the difference between their assets and liabilities, because they've not done enough projects in their own right to build up a sufficient PG. So to give you an example, somebody might be looking at, they might have the experience to do a £10 million GDV project, that's gross development value, and might want to borrow, let's just say, 6 million. For a £6 million loan, they're going to need 20, quite often 25% of that as net worth.
Yeah.
So say up to 1.5 million. Well, not everyone's got that when they've not done the developments historically in their own right.
Yeah.
So that can be a big limiting factor. So by going down the 100% fully funded route, yes, it might cost a little bit more with interest rates and profits given away. But if you can get 1 or 2 of those away, suddenly you're building up the coffers, you're building up your net worth, and then you can go it alone more so.
So just a quick recap on the major benefits there. 1, it removes the need for cash in.
Mm-hmm.
2, it removes the need for principal experience, as you said, doing it in their own limited company.
Yeah.
But then 3, the level of PG is no longer an issue either.
Yeah.
So it's really like, I guess, a springboard is maybe the best way to describe it.
Yeah, very good way of saying it.
To get people from, they know what they're doing, but they've not done it in their own personal right.
Yeah.
To getting that tick box, and then maybe onwards after that, they might need to do 1 or 2 projects under 100% funding, but then hopefully after that, they've then got their experience, they've hopefully made a bit of money, and then the future projects, they don't have to rely on it ever again necessarily.
Exactly. Like as one funder put it to me recently, said they've not had their own balls on the line, Steve. And it's true, you know, you've not put your own neck in the noose. You might have the experience, but it's a different game when you're having to do it that way.
Yeah.
And they're not going to, I'm sounding crude here, they're not going to fully have your pants down on the rate. What they generally do is they apply a rate of interest per month, like any bridging and development lender tends to do, and they apply that to the project. It might be slightly more, and then they'll split the profits with you 50-50. But if you think about it, if you're going into a project with your investors, you'll have a rate applied by the funder per month anyway, and the usual fees attached to that. But you'll quite often, in my experience, you'll have that 50-50 split with your investors.
Yeah.
There's plenty of seasoned developers out there where they take 50% of the profits, 50% goes to their investors. So it's not massively dissimilar. But when you drill down into the numbers, yes, it is more expensive. But then, if you've got the right head on your shoulders, you'll see there's a lot of benefit to doing it that way. Just get one or two out the way. And then if you choose to do a third one, like as we know, one of the funders, if you do a third project with them and they're quite happy the way the first two have gone, they'll massively increase the funding that they'll give you and the flexibility.
To a ridiculous level from what I remember when you've told me in the past.
Yeah, massively.
Is it 50 million?
Yeah. Yes, the first two projects, they're flexible enough anyway because they'll go up to £10 million. And yes, they want you to be in and out, one of the funders, in and out of the project within 18 months. So they want the exit strategy to be sale, not hold. Mm-hmm. But then once you've gone through that process twice, you understand each other, up to 50 million they'll give you, and you've not got the same restrictions on getting out of a project as well.
I suppose it's a way of them keeping hold of you as a client, isn't it? It's like, well, we've done the initial couple of 100% at a limit. Now we're going to go, in effect, unlimited with you because we trust what you've done. And as a funder, I guess, they're looking at it thinking, well, why do we want to lose them? They've delivered. We know they deliver. We want to keep that kind of client. So they open up the floodgates somewhat.
Definitely. And they understand, they know the competition. They know that, yes, you could go to a Close Brothers or a Shawbrook or another funder and get a significantly lower rate of interest on the debt. But then you've not got the advantages of this massive fund of £50 million, because lenders like that aren't just suddenly going to throw 50 million at you. They want to see gradual progression, in your track record.
And I guess there's another angle on it as well. What about the seasoned developer who has got PG, has got the experience, but let's just say they've already put the money into a couple of projects and it's all tied up. Project number 3, let's call it, that comes along out the blue and it's like, this is too good to give up.
Yeah.
An experienced funder could then use this kind of funding and say, well, I'm still better getting that project, developing it out and getting half of something than missing out on it and getting 100% of nothing.
Exactly, yeah. And I've mentioned this to funders that we have gone to the likes of Close Brothers, Shawbrook and all the, funders that you might not have come across as well as the big name ones. And they're very receptive to it because they understand exactly that another project can come your way. And it's almost like it's a more profitable project because you're quite blasé almost. You don't have to take it. So you negotiate harder. You take it on board. Yeah, why not use a funder like that?
Okay. So the fundamental you touched on was cost-wise. You're paying a coupon, an interest rate on what you borrow. Yeah. You're splitting the remaining profits down the middle. Yeah. What are like the other real parameters? Because this isn't designed for 2 up, 2 down flips, is it?
To some of the criteria.
So where do people need to be at for this type of funding to work for them?
Really what the funder's looking at, to make it worthwhile to both parties, they want the profit to be at least 200,000. So that would be 100,000 for the developer, 100,000 for the funder. They want, which really looking at projects with an end value of, say, £1 million. Yeah. The maximum loan's 10 million. The maximum term for the finance is 18 months.
Any flexibility on all these for the right project?
There can be, yeah. Again, it's been said to me before that you've got a number of pillars. If 1 or 2 of the pillars are down, not the end of the world. Let's look at it. Let's consider all things in the piece. They don't tend to like large apartments because I think the largest one that they've done is 24 units because you've got to be in and out of it in 18 months anyway. And the greater the size of the project with numbers of apartments, it can be harder to shift all those in one go. Yeah. So what else? Location, anywhere in the UK. They just like the developer to be a construction professional or be in bed with a construction professional, because really what they want you to do is do that project for cost, increases the profit margin, and then there's more to split between the parties. So the profit margin as well needs to be, well, they say 27% profit against GDV, against the end value. Yeah. They have come down before. I think the lowest they've come to is 24%. So again, there's flexibility applied.
Yeah. That's good to hear. And I suppose as we see and this is why we're kind of revisiting this in a way on other podcasts we've done or social media posts, it's the fact that we've got more lenders now getting into this type of funding.
Yeah.
And people think that, I'm paying interest and I'm splitting the profits. But just to go back to the original point, it's better to earn half of something than 100% or nothing.
Yeah.
But I suppose the more competition we see, we might see the cost or the deals get a little bit sharper for the borrower.
Oh yeah, I'd imagine so. Imagine that coupon would become more in line with a competitive bridger.
Yeah.
So like, let's just say 1% a month. At the moment, it might be 1.25 or 1.25 to 1.5, depending on the size of the loan. So yeah, there's a little bit of a difference there. But like I said before, experienced developers taking development finance out with a lender that goes to 60 to 75% of the GDV, then they're having to split the profits anyway with the investors. Yeah. Very few developers. The perception is developers put all the money in themselves. No, they don't. Even when they've got the money, no, they don't.
Yeah.
They, you know as well as I that they might put 5% of the equity raise in or 10%, but they're not putting more than that because they've got the lads to keep busy. They've got big overheads. They might have another project come their way. So they'll call on their investors and use other people's money.
Yeah. So, I mean, we still get where the people that are investing with them might not want a profit share; they just want a percentage return.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to advocate that this type of borrowing replaces that, because from a cost basis, that is still going to work out a lot better because you're not splitting your profits.
Yeah.
But again, it's the hold on a minute, I've not got that available. I've got this great project. A lot of people would just think it's the right project, the wrong time.
Yeah.
What we're saying is, no, actually, there is this kind of like lending of last resort, I suppose, because you are splitting your profits.
Yeah.
But again, it's better to do the project than not do it. Yeah?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I say to people all the time that, hey, in an ideal world, we'd have a private investor that's willing to take a rate of interest of 6 to 10% per annum, because in the bank they're getting maybe 3 to 5%.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's get 6 to 10% in our money and have somebody with a 10 million quid fund. There you go. Next project. There you go. But I mean, people out there, they are out there, but very few and far between. Like, there's one or two people I know that are fortunate enough to have somebody like that in their power team that just keeps feeding them money, and they'll take 6 to 10% per annum. But most people, and especially as they get more into this game, seasoned investors want a higher return than that, because they understand that there are risks, and with greater risks should come a higher return on the money.
Yeah. And there's another aspect to this I want to touch on there, because I've been involved in projects where there's investor money in at the side. Mm. And there is a massive difference between getting money from individuals, where that's a lot of money to them, and they're very worried about how it's doing, compared to an institutional funder who's almost, obviously they're going to do the due diligence at the beginning, but then they like kind of let it roll, and it's that they leave people to do what they do, rather than, sometimes we all know private investors that they're on the phone every couple of days, and it's like, hold on, this is a 15-month project, and we're at day 3, and this almost like, am I getting my money back? Am I getting my money back? And it just becomes a huge irritation. And and we've seen people fall out over it, haven't we? And that's where you've got to be careful where you're getting the money from, because
for sure
it can be a drain on your energy and your time if they're always chewing away at you.
Yeah, and a lot of developers, I mean, it's just the route you tend to have to take, the calling on friends and family, or it might be 20 grand here, 30 grand there. And they're the worst ones, because it tends to be their last 20 or 30 grand. And so they're pecking your head all the way through that project. So that's why some developers, as they get more into this game, they might set a minimum standard of 100 grand for a project. Because if somebody's willing to put 100, 200, 300 grand your way, it's probably not their last 1, 2, 300 grand. It's just a portion of their wealth. And they're busy professionals themselves, or they've got their own business, and they're just leaving you to it, going, don't peck my head and I won't peck yours.
They should have it as a clause in the agreement. You're only allowed to phone me once a month, or once every 3 months to check it out, because we know people who've had people literally phone them every single day, and that doesn't work either.
No.
And like you say, if it's friends or family, it can be end of a good friendship. Can't
Oh
it?
yeah, I mean,
So,
there's one scenario that springs to mind where the guy invested 300 grand. So his first amount of money, I know people have invested more than this, but 300 grand into the developers' coffers, and the developer said, "Great, do you want to come down and see the project? We have monthly Zoom calls, etc., etc." He said, "No, I'm not interested in property. I'm not interested in coming down to see the project." He wasn't being rude.
yeah,
He just said, "I've got a large cycling company. I'm very busy day to day. I just want to make a good return on my money. There's my 300 grand. We'll catch up further down the line." You know.
absolutely. So I guess just looking at the funding of projects as a whole, the order of preference is always going to be you've got your own cash to fund the deposit
Yeah.
and senior debt. Don't hide from that.
Yeah.
Maybe you've not got all your own cash, but you've got plenty of assets. And without going into too much detail, we can do a cross-collateral charge against the difference that you need
Yeah.
and the senior debt. So that would be option number 2
Yeah.
in terms of cost. Option number 3 is investor money to come in alongside the senior
The
debt.
senior debt. Yeah.
Not forgetting what we just said about make sure that everyone understands that it's a long-term thing, don't peck my head kind of scenario.
Yeah.
But if all those aren't available, then we have got what we've gone into more detail about at the beginning of institutional funders,
Yeah.
more than 1 or 2 now, who will literally, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you've got to fund maybe 5 to 10 grand of legal fees,
Yeah.
which you get back when you take ownership of the site.
Yeah.
But other than that, you can get yourself into a project in the 1, 2, 3, up to 10 million bracket
Yeah.
with literally,
A site visit fee of £1,000.
is that what it is?
Something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I think that's the only money you shell out because
Site visit of 1,000.
Yeah.
Legals of 5 to 10 grand.
5
is
to
it?
10 say.
Yeah. And you get that.
Yeah,
money back.
the project is actually owned and bought in the funder's name, which gets around the problem of PGs.
Yeah.
And then a declaration or a deed of trust will be set up, so both parties have an interest in that project.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's a wonderful way. Whether you're a relative newbie as a principal developer, or like you say, you're a seasoned developer, but you're getting a lot of projects coming to you, why not take on board that extra project?
And then, the simplest thing for us is that the team back at Express, if you need 100% funding, they won't just go straight to institutional funders.
No.
You've got to show your profits. They'll look at, have you got some assets in the background that mean you don't need to do that?
Yeah.
Now and again, we might know of people who are looking to invest in the odd project. They might be able to marry you up with somebody.
Yeah.
But if all else fails, then they can put it out to these kind of funders and say, what do you think of this project? Will you support our client? Yeah.
Yeah, oh, exactly. We'll do a thorough fact find at Express, make sure that we've got all the assets and liabilities in the background because there could be another angle to this thing. So, yeah, we consider everything in the round. And of course, we don't just look at the initial finance required for the project. We'll look at the exit. In fact, begin with the exit in mind. What's what you're planning to do? Do you need to consider buy-to-let mortgages as an exit strategy as well? So we'll look at everything. And as you know, we've got specialists in each area, so we can do that.
Okay, good stuff. So if you're looking for 100% funding on a project, or you've got any questions, put your questions in the comments below, or reach out to the team at expressmortgages.co.uk, and one of our guys will assess what you've got and find you the best solution. Good luck with it. Bye-bye.